This episode of Horror Movie Talk brought to you by Gators Aid. Are your alligators lethargic and slow to rip apart intruders? Gators Aid solves that problem with their unique formula of gator stimulants that will give your gators a new spring in their step. Best of all, Gators Aid also helps your gators stay in a state of blind rage at all times so that they will destroy any human that comes within 20 feet of them. Gators Aid. Get it wherever cocaine is sold. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny Hoodie Picasso. Your panel of expert hosts each week are Dr. Bryce Hansen, who holds a PhD in spookology, and Professor David Day, the foremost expert in Glue Glue Bam Bam. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm Bryce Hansen.
I'm David Day. We're the best Hoodie Picasso in town.
I know.
The best in town. And definitely, I'm the foremost expert in Glue Glue Bam Bam. Mm-hmm. Man, I hit up Dustin yesterday. I was like, for those of you who don't know, Dustin Goebel is our resident HMT artist who fucks hard. And he produces all the pictures that go on all our posts. And they're spectacular. And I was like, oh man. So last week it came from social media where someone misspelled.
Yeah, in a review in Apple Podcasts.
Misspelled the words horror podcast by saying Hoodie Picasso. And we kind of broke it down in the episode. Like, what are they trying to say? Hoodie Picasso? Hoodie Picasso? And finally it's horror podcast. So I went to Dustin and I was like, Dustin, wouldn't it be funny if there was a Picasso-inspired picture of a hoodie on a real hoodie? And then it just said Hoodie Picasso underneath it? He didn't seem to think that was very funny, but I think it's hilarious. Although he might have. He was driving, so I was texting him while he was driving around, and he's like, I can't respond.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of our goals is to have in-jokes on the podcast, and I don't know how that works.
It works just like this.
We just want to force it.
We just talk about Hoodie Picasso for a little while, and then people are on board.
Yeah, Hoodie Picasso.
Yeah.
So anyways, thanks for listening to our Hoodie Picasso. So before we get into the episode, let's talk briefly about a couple important items of business, mainly our website. Go to horrormovietalk.com, all one word, to see past episodes, leave comments, or see our awesome horror movie blogs. You'll also find links to all of our social media, and we're pretty active on Twitter and Facebook, even Instagram, and I am on an embarrassing amount of TikTok, but even though we don't do a lot of videos, but we're everywhere. Find links on our website, horrormovietalk.com. If you're new to the show, we post every Wednesday, so subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and if you are on an iPhone, please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts.
That helps out a ton. If you really want to help with the show, you can hop on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/horrormovietalk. But if the other very easy way, non-monetarily, is to give us an Apple rating.
Yeah,
and
like, for example, we completely fell off the charts. Like we're below 250 on the film reviews charts for the U.S., and we got a rating or two yesterday, and like it popped us up to like low 200s. So it's like it really is impactful. Whenever you leave a rating, it does have an impact on our visibility.
Yeah, and the other thing is, we do. A lot of you may know, but a lot of you don't. Is if you prefer to listen while you're at work and maybe you have a headset or something like that, you can subscribe to our YouTube, and we have every episode we do on our YouTube, and sometimes that's an easier streaming option, just FYI.
Yeah. So we've got a great show today. Today we're going to be talking about Crawl. So this is a patron selection. this is a new release that kind of slipped by us last year, so we're kind of excited to be able to talk about it today. We're going to start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge, where it makes you angry that you watched it, 5 being completely average, hitting all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. So after we give our score, we'll go into a deeper dive and get into spoilers, talk about what we liked or disliked about the film, and then later on we have a couple segments. We're going to be doing taglines, perennial favorite, and it came from social media. We've got even more people reaching out to us on social media, and lots of people to feature.
It's been really kicking off.
Yeah. So let's get into the review. Like I said, our patrons voted for this week's movie and selected Crawl.
To be fair, I mean, it was like semi a tie between The Void and Crawl.
Yeah, well, someone voted one day late. I hadn't closed the poll, but the deadline was Monday, and they voted. The last vote for The Void was on Tuesday. So if you're a patron, sorry.
Yeah.
But
I will let our patrons know that I am interested in now. I was like, The Void, huh? So I started taking a look at what that's all about. Looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
So maybe vote on it in February. I'm just saying, babies.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not in the know, like, getting requests, like, we have a backlog of people that have said, like, hey, you should review this, and we keep a running list.
Yeah.
And it's so comically long now that there's no possible way we can make everyone happy on a show that features one movie per episode.
Yeah.
So how we got around it is our patrons get to kind of crowdsource the decision. They come up with a list and then vote on it. And we
once a month.
Once a month. So if you want to be involved in that, become a patron. Check out, I think it's our top level because we can.
I don't know which level it is.
It's the $15 one.
Oh, okay.
So, which we do have one person that joined at that level.
Yeah, and
so
then of course
awesome.
all of our founding members.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
all of our founding members, people that didn't jump on. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into Crawl. So, like I said, we let this one slip by when it was in theaters. But now we know you don't just slip by gators. They will look for you, they will find you, and they will kill you. Here's the trailer for Crawl.
The state of Florida has issued a Category 5 hurricane warning. All residents must evacuate immediately. Grab your families, your loved ones, and get out.
Dad!
We won't be able to come for you.
Dad! Dad! Oh my God! What happened?
Are you hurt?
I'm fine. Hello, can anybody hear me? I'm trapped with my father in our house in Coral Lake. Please send help.
Billy!
Wait, down here.
Did you hear that? In less than an hour, we'll be underwater. Banging on the pipes blurs their senses. I can distract them for you. You got this! You need to go now.
I'm not leaving you here. Come on, you son of a bitch!
masterful trailer.
It really is. The sound design on that trailer is probably the best that I've ever heard on a
The best sound design I've ever fucking heard on a trailer. Just because we're not watching the trailer, we're listening to a sound clip of it. And, man, I mean, just picking apart the audio on that is perfect.
Yeah, and the sound design in the movie was actually really great, too. The little light flashlight that whirring to charge it
that's
up.
true. That's true.
Crawl can be found for rent or purchase on your favorite video platform. We watched it on Amazon Prime Video rental.
Well, I think we paid $6 for it.
Yeah. It ain't cheap, but it's, I mean, I'm going to kind of spoil it and say it's worth it, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
If you're into creature features, man, we've been disagreeing a lot on like every movie that we've reviewed. The last like 3,
it's been rough.
We're just like spinning around that 5 on both ends of it.
Yeah.
The movie follows Floridian Haley, and I did not put in the actress's name, but it's not important. A competitive swimmer that goes to check on her father before a Category 5 hurricane hits. She discovers that her father, Dave, played by Barry Pepper, I remembered that one,
a.k.a. the sniper from Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm. He's a recognizable face, but you'll be like, who is that guy?
Yeah, he's the badass who was shooting Germans in World War II, bro.
Yeah, and he looks like a Florida man.
He sure does. Wow, what is that? Wow, what is that?
So, anyway, she discovers that her father, Dave, is in the crawl space
there you go.
Below his house with a broken leg from an alligator attack. She finds out quickly that there are not 1, but 2 hyper-aggressive gators that will stop at nothing to kill them both. What precedes is a game of gator and mouse where they try to escape the gators in a labyrinthian and increasingly flooded crawl space. The movie has a simple setup and delivers exactly what you would want out of it. Ridiculous gator action. These gators...
It's super retarded.
Yeah, these gators... I'm pretty sure before these gators came into Dave's crawl space, they apparently stopped by Tony Montana's and consumed that mountain of coke on his desk. They are ridiculously aggressive. The 2 main characters are constantly in danger, but are protected by the most powerful substance known to man, plot armor. So while we watch them try to outsmart the gators for an hour and a half to accomplish the impossible task of, crawl a couple feet to the stairs, we're introduced to a steady stream of possible saviors who are immediately attacked and torn apart by ravenous gators.
Is this the spoiler section or is this the synopsis?
This is the synopsis. I mean, come on, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, there's no way to spoil this movie. It's a movie called Crawl that features alligators. What could you possibly need to know?
The movie is the setup.
Yeah.
Like that's what the whole movie is.
Yeah.
You won't know whether they survive or not until the end, but yeah, I've said it before. I'm not a huge fan of monster movies or creature features, but I can appreciate the ones that are done well, and this is one of those. The situation is creative. The pacing of the plot is great. It's only an hour and a half. It doesn't outstay its welcome. The tension is high throughout the movie because of the rising water. It is really a great device to move the plot forward. There's a decent amount of character development between Haley and her father. Like, just a lot of the table stakes are there. Like, it's surprising what is left off for a lot of monster movies. Like, if you compare this to Underwater, there was 0, like, character development or backstory for anyone, really. Like,
yeah.
Do you know why any of them were there or what they really did?
Yeah. Yes.
There was the captain.
There was the mailman.
The mailman?
Oh, no, not the mailman. I'm sorry. He's the emergency round 'em up guy, in the...
Okay.
Like, he came by in a boat to make sure that they made it out safe.
Oh, I was talking about Underwater as a counterexample.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, could you say for Underwater why any of them were there, or?
Yeah, she was a mechanical engineer. He was a captain. The other guys were,
people.
They did things.
Yeah.
Surely they did things.
And do you know why they chose to live miles and miles under water?
Well, that's not really the point, is it?
I don't know. I mean, if you just said that, it might make it more interesting, but I don't know. So
It might.
So this movie,
I feel like Underwater is one of those movies that could easily be very broken apart and made worse by intricate plot. Like,
that's true.
Like, they're not capable of that, and it's good that they know that.
Yeah. So anyways, like Crawl, it does have like some character development, it does have backstory, there's relationships between the characters that are fleshed out. Even one of the side characters that's kind of the gator fodder, like, he has a backstory with Haley's sister.
It's true.
So
Yep.
a lot of the table stakes are there, and it doesn't take much to impress me with these creature features. So if you come for gator attacks, you will not be disappointed. Everything from just plain gator bites to being completely drawn and quartered by a congregation of gators is covered. It runs the full spectrum.
It sure does.
Overall, it's a really well-written and executed creature feature that maintains tension, has the proper amount of ridiculous action, and doesn't overstay its welcome. I give it a 7 out of 10.
I don't disagree with almost anything you said at all. I agree
Right.
almost 100% with everything you said. It's well done. Like, even down to the CGI is really, like, appropriate and looks good. That's not something you'll normally hear me say, especially with something that basically features CGI the whole way through.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's the darling of this movie is the CGI alligators.
Yeah.
It was a well done movie. It was especially for a creature feature. It was tense. I felt upset at times. And that's impressive to achieve. There was some really great jump scares. It's just a 7 on paper to me. You know, it just feels like there. I could say 7, and I wouldn't be wrong, but I'm not feeling it in my soul because I don't care.
Right.
Like, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's too much of these monster movies, and that's not our lane so much. You know, it's not the thing that I enjoy as much. So it deserves a 7, but I just don't care about it very much.
All right, stop beating around the bush. Give us your score.
I don't know what my score is. It's like,
You don't want to commit?
it's not that I even don't want to commit. It's that I can't really land on anything that's fair, because a 7 is fair. It's just it doesn't feel like 7 to me.
Yeah, I mean, this was a situation where we watched it together, and we were both pretty distracted. We were talking about other things.
Yeah, we were joking around the
that
whole
were
time.
more entertaining usually than what we were watching. But even from like my split interests, like, I could tell that this was a good movie.
I could too. Yeah, I could too. It's just, this feels like Twister.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, because so here's one of the things that
Feels like
I
a
said
movie
about,
that could be a movie that could just be on cable for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, it makes you empathetic with critics in general, because
Yeah, it sure does.
you're like, there's no winning, because you can dislike it personally but see it's great.
Right.
So where does that put you?
Yeah.
Is it good? It's not good to you.
Right.
And your job as someone reviewing something is to tell someone whether it's good or not, or your opinion about it.
Right.
Like, you can't.
Well,
nothing is objective.
I feel like I did a pretty good job of describing my position. It's like,
Right.
if you empathize with my opinion a lot, if you're someone who's like, yeah, David and we share taste, then I feel like I've appropriately given you the buffer that you need to go, okay, he has my taste, or I always disagree with David. I love creature. It's
Yeah,
you understand. So I would
Right.
say that this deserves a 7, but I give it a 6, I guess, just because I know it's not average. I know it is better than average, and 5 is average.
One of the things I pointed out.
Yeah,
we were discussing
this
how
is this is a really good point.
how hard it is to come up with the scores, and like how like non.
We painted ourselves into a corner.
So one of the things that Red Letter Media does really well is they never give a rating.
Yeah.
They just like give their impressions and be like, you just see it in their face, like, do they like it or not?
Yeah.
And you decide, like, how excited they are talking about it kind of determines whether I get excited enough to see it.
Yeah.
But we're too far in. We can't go because
That's not true. We can change it anytime. We could change it anytime. It's easy to do.
I mean, this was one of the very, very first inputs that we got was like, you need to give us a rating.
Yeah.
Like, what, and specifically, what is the scale? Like, I think we had a 1 to 10 rating. They're like, I don't understand how 1 to 10 works. Explain it to me.
That was driven by some very specific people who were listening early on.
Yeah.
And it may not represent the actual consensus now.
So, I don't know. We'll put it to the listeners. Do you think having a 1 to 10 score is important? Does it help you? Or are you fine with just hearing us talk about it?
Yeah. Which would you like to hear? Let us know. Facebook, Twitter, on the post for this crawl episode.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I mean, I'm fine with it. It's fun to think about it, to try to like nail it down. But I end up feeling like IMDb, where everything is a 6 or 7.
Yeah. It does feel like you get cut. You get hamstringed a little bit.
I mean, the takeaway is it's better than average. Definitely, if you're into creature features, check it out. So before we get into spoilers and talk more in detail, let's talk about some more items of business. We mentioned our Patreon page. You guys should check that out if you're a fan of the show. You can unlock patron exclusive content like our Afterpod podcast that only our patrons can listen to, where we leave the mics running and shoot the shit.
And our most recent mini pod about the Netflix Dracula series.
Yeah. Also, like we said before, you can have the opportunity to vote on stuff. Lots of perks, small to big, that you can participate in. So check out our Patreon at patreon.com/horrormovietalk, or if you go to our website, there's a link to it at the top.
Yeah.
New patrons arrived this week.
Yes, they sure did. Yes.
So we are so excited when we get new patrons. I can't tell you how life affirming.
It's like little kisses from God.
Yeah.
It's like little God kisses.
And this patron, we were both really excited about because we've talked about him probably like 5 times, if not more, on the podcast.
He's every episode.
Every time we talk about anything having to do with Scandinavia. So, and there's a surprisingly large amount of movies that deal with like Sweden.
Yeah,
Finland,
actually,
Norway.
this Afterpod, we're going to talk about a movie that I'm in the middle of right now, which is Lords of Chaos, which is about the coolest Scandinavian story of all time, and that's saying something.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes, this is the story about Mayhem and Euronymous and Dead and Necro Butcher and Varg Virkens. This is the story about Mayhem and all the weird murder and church burnings and animal sacrifice that they do, and it's really well done. And we're going to talk about that in today's Afterpod. So get on that patron train.
Oh, I'm so excited. Anyways,
thank you to Magnus.
Who we're talking about is Magnus,
Yeah.
one of our newest patrons. Magnus is out of Sweden, and we talk to him all the time on Facebook. So welcome, Magnus, as a new patron.
And also
Tanya is another patron out of Colorado, and we're going to talk more about her, and it came from social media, but she also was one of the reviews we read last week.
Yeah, she was. She was Per Sleep Meow.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining, both you guys, Tanya and Magnus. We appreciate you very much.
Yeah. Other ways you can support the podcast, you can buy or rent any movie or product on Amazon. As long as you click through the green button in the header of our website, we get a little taste of that. Check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard.
Yeah, he does. Oh, my God.
And more importantly, he takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at dgoebel00, at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram, and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell them HMT sent you. Also, Shudder, if you are interested in streaming horror and you're kind of waiting on pulling the trigger on Shudder, we've got an incentive for you. Use code HMT at checkout, and you'll get a 30-day free trial instead of their shitty, fucking, just insulting 7-day free trial.
It's like, what are you doing with your life if you got that 7-day? Get on that HMT 30-day.
Yeah.
Bitches.
New releases on Shudder recently is Tammy and the T-Rex, starring the voice of the T-Rex is Paul Walker. And then Tammy is Denise Richards, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is happening?
I'm pretty sure they covered it on Best of Worst. Also, Audition is newly added, and Monster Squad. So check out Shudder.
Classic movie, Monster Squad from 1988.
So thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers.
Spoilers.
It's spoilers. Spoilers? Is it spoilers now?
It's spoilers
It's
right now.
Spoilers. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, this is not a complicated film. I mean, if you want to get the main spoiler right off, like, yeah, they survive. Like, it's fine. I mean, there, we ruined the movie for you. But this movie is about building tension.
See you guys next episode.
I guess we did just ruin that. Anyways, so this is the most labyrinthian crawl space I've ever seen in my life.
It's huge. It's cavernous. It's just like your mom's vagina.
Full of pipes. Wow.
Banging on those pipes, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, it's
that's my tagline.
Yeah, that's
crawl. Just like Bryce's mom's vagina.
So
Bryce's mom is a saint, and I'm so sorry. She's a wonderful woman who did nothing but support me and my family through one of our hardest times. And so, Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. Your vagina. I'm sure your vagina is very nice.
Oh, God, I'm so uncomfortable right now. Okay, so
don't tell your mom about this.
This crawl space. I mean, the title "Crawl" is about halfway about the alligators crawling and the crawl space. This crawl space is halfway between a basement and a crawl space.
Yeah.
Like in most, maybe it's different in Florida, but like crawl space under houses here is like 2 or 3 feet, maybe?
Yeah.
Like 3 feet would be extreme. Can you like crouch down in your crawl space?
Well, I mean, it depends on if you're on a hillside and all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
There's plenty of houses out here where you can stand up in there. Trust me, I know. I've been in 1,000 of them, but there it seems like everything's flat. Like, I mean, I guess one of the more common things would be to have your house on stilts, if you're in a place that floods frequently, but that wasn't the case here. This was just like a classic crawl space, just...
Yeah, it was like enough to where it felt like they could stand, but they probably had to crouch a little, but then also it felt like the ground was paved.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen The People Under the Stairs, that Wes Craven movie from like 89 or 90 or whatever it was. But the house in that movie is very similar to this crawl space in this house. But it's like the whole house is that way in that movie. And in this movie, it's just the crawl space is just disproportionately large and unfamiliar throughout. Like there's little trap doors and fucking pipes running all over the place, and some places are very small and others are very large, and it's like, okay, well, what's really going on here?
Yeah, it's weird. It feels like a space that only exists in a movie about gators that you're trying to escape.
You know what it feels like? It feels like what this is a representation of a crawl space for someone who's intimidated by crawl spaces. Like, who's never been in, which is most people, right? Most people have never been in a crawl space, have no inclination to go in a crawl space. And we'll just call a professional if something needs to happen down there.
Yeah, like me.
Right. So it's like, this is the fantasy crawl space that exists in your mind when you're like, I don't want to go down there and figure out what's going on. Yeah, because there might be alligators down there. There's probably
it's a deep-seated fear. Yeah. Lots of movie logic around injuries or even attacks.
Oh yeah,
in this movie.
Yeah.
So you remember that compound fracture from earlier in the movie? Don't
forget about that.
We fixed it. Yeah. They can run now.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it.
We don't need that arm. That's not really a load-bearing arm.
Yeah.
Or leg.
The movie logic with the attacks, like, the gators are super, super aggressive, but when they do bite, sometimes it's like a dog that doesn't know what they are going to do with a giant bone. They're like, I got it. Now what?
Yeah, sometimes the alligator simply daintily like, can I grab your like this, and then it's
chompa.
Chompa.
And other times they're going like the full tornado spin version, and then just sometimes they're just plain amputating.
Yeah, and then they're like,
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
And they eat it.
So yeah, I mean, like I said before, it runs the whole spectrum. It's fun. Like, it keeps you on your toes, and there's definitely moments of gore that are like, yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of gore, but sometimes when it like comes unexpected and you're just like, whoa, that's like just a great feeling.
We have to watch Brain Dead. We have to watch Peter Jackson's Brain Dead.
Yeah, I've seen like the lawnmower scene.
I've seen most of that movie, and it's pretty great. You're gonna, well, I don't know. It might be so over the top that it just, anyway. So Crawl.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if we need to talk about any of the hits in the plot or like any of the beats in the plot. It's literally, she goes down the basement, finds her father, his leg's broken, and they're trying to get back out of the crawl space, but
yeah,
these are like,
it'd be easier
super strategic gators. They're like conducting flanking actions.
Yeah.
It's like there's a gator general down there.
It'd be easier to talk about what works and what doesn't work, and then the few like kind of level up moments throughout the movie, like where they find, specific spots in the crawl space. Specific unexplored. Oh, here's why the gators are here.
Right.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So what works for you in this the most? What are the things that work the most for you?
I mean, I really like the situation and the setup. Like, the flood, the rising waters is a tension builder throughout, and it's used as a really great device, and it ramps up towards the end. So the rate at which it is flooding increases throughout the movie to where it's like, well, wait a minute. The first 30 minutes it was rising like about 3 feet, in that 30 minutes.
Inches every hour.
The last half hour, it's like it rose like 30 feet.
Yeah, in about 5 minutes, something like that.
So the crawl space keeps flooding, and once they get out of it, of course, it starts flooding faster to the point where it's going to get completely flooded. The father's left behind, and then they get out, and this is the best like one-up moment of the movie. They like go, uh-oh, the levee broke.
What?
That's from When the Levee Breaks.
Oh, that?
By Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
So we'll definitely get flagged for that. But, so yeah, the levee breaks when they're outside, and all of a sudden this giant, like, tsunami wave hits them.
Yeah.
And then, like, everything is flooding way more to where
it's a very Jurassic Park moment.
Yeah.
Because it's, they finally get out of the house, and they're like, we're out of the house. And then this huge wave comes and crashes them back into the house after the levee breaks. Yeah, after the levee breaks. And then they're back in the tree in the house.
That was one of the most ridiculous moments. They get to the boat, there's this whole thing, and then the wave washes them through a window.
Nope.
And then the water's still rising so high, and for some reason it takes him forever to get up the stairs. But, whatever.
Well, he has a compound fracture in his leg.
Yeah.
It's an on-again, off-again compound fracture. Yeah, for me, the thing that really worked very well was the movement of the alligators and the alligators. Like,
see, here's okay.
with a caveat, like, they were annoyingly slow whenever there was like oh no, I'm backing up away from an alligator that's surely going to overcome me, and the alligator was just like, guess what? I'm going to strut. I'm coming. I'm going to get you. And it's like, oh, okay, just bite her and eat her. But of course the alligator never does that.
I'm going to disagree. That was one of the things that didn't work for me, was that
the CGI didn't work
it'd
for
be
you?
a completely different movie, but I almost feel like it would be more interesting if the gator movement was more realistic, because gators are not that energetic. They're creatures of convenience or opportunity.
This is where you and I differ. I'm pretty sure. I mean, okay, to an extent, like no gator wants to eat somebody this badly,
right?
For sure.
Yes.
Like that, you're right about. But like gators can run like 30 miles an hour.
No, I looked it up. They can run on land 10 to 15 miles an hour.
That's way faster than me.
But if you watch videos, like, they run for like 5 feet maybe, and then they're like, ugh.
They're not really running down there. Like I said, he's like slowly approaching her with his big gaping maw.
Well, I mean, there's lots of gator movement that just isn't realistic. It's like someone painting in the CGI of like, I want it to look like this. But if you were to think about it, like, gator doesn't have that range of movement, or doesn't. So, I mean,
Yes, it do.
well, we'll agree to disagree. But I would have liked it if it was just literally a normal gator, not like a coked up gator, that they were stuck there, and even if it was just like a chomp. Like, if you think about Deliverance, the guy breaks his leg and he's out.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing very extreme about it. And then you see, like, oh, this is... What really happens is you're completely taken out if you break your leg.
Well, that's a different kind of movie, though. It's like, its intent is to convey total hopelessness.
Right. So, that's... I had a different movie envisioned in my mind of, like, what if it was just that? If it was super realistic and it was a bad situation, but they got out of it, but the hurricane was really the problem, Yeah. It was like a race against nature for survival. But it wasn't that type of movie. It was a creature feature. And for that, the CGI and the gators were great.
Yeah, and actually, in terms of stuff that we expected, so Sam Raimi's name is all over this fucking thing. He's the executive producer. I think he's the producer as well. And so I was kind of like, oh man, are we going to get some practical effects up in here? Are we going to get some puppet alligators? And I would have loved to see just a very wiggly, coked up, shaky, like puppet gator, just
right.
I would have loved to see that. And there were a couple instances where they did use where it was biting her, and they did use a practical effect. They did use a puppet or a machine or something like that. But it was very sparse, and it wasn't the over the top puppetry that you see in a lot of Sam Raimi stuff.
Yeah. Other stuff that worked. I mean, I think the they didn't try to go too complicated with the characters or the themes of it, but it was enough to kind of, it's like the salt on your food. It's just like, it sweetens a little bit. So the relationship between her and her father, their father's divorced. There's a little bit of history between her and her sister of who sided with who, and her father was her former swim coach and really pushed her. And a lot of the movie is about, her not pushing past the place that would get her to the next level of performance, and
in her swim career.
And he points out that it's all mental, that she can do it. And so, when the time comes to
the swing away Meryl moment.
There's very much a swing away Meryl moment in this.
You got this! You're faster than they are! What are you? Swim!
Swim!
That's like a weird... How does he say that?
You got this! You're faster than they are! What are you? Swim!
You're faster than they are. What are you? Swim! It feels like that bowler moment. Who do you think you are? I am!
What?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, man, I got it.
Who do you think you are? I am. You are. We. Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, here, I'll pull it up on YouTube just a second. This guy.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
That is why I did it! That's number 5! Are you kidding me? That's right! Who do you think you are? I am! Get it right!
Never seen that before?
He's so excited. No, I've never seen that before.
Who do you think you are? I am!
If you guys want to see this video, head on over to our post for Crawl. This is the funniest. If you can't tell, that's a bowler, a professional bowler who apparently did something good.
Yeah, it's a very like Phil McCracken from what's that movie called?
Kingpin?
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's character from Kingpin. It's very much that moment.
Yeah, who do you think you are? I am. Like he's so excited,
just nonsensical
that he's just beyond making sense.
I guess the backstory to that is that there were some hecklers in the audience or something like that when he was bowling before, and then he won the competition.
Oh, who do you think you are? I am. Right.
Yeah.
Swam.
Who are you? You're faster
Your
than them.
compliment was
Who are you?
sufficient, Lewis.
Anyway, so that kind of stuff made it interesting, like engages you more and makes you empathize with the characters, and the stakes are higher. It's not necessary, but it's good that they do it in creature features. So I mean, if you think about it, the best creature feature in my mind, the one that I actually love, is Jaws.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most of that is character development.
Yeah.
Like it's all, the salty sea captain versus the academic versus the sheriff, and like all that character interaction and the drama and the backstories is what makes Jaws interesting, because you don't want them to die.
Right. Yeah. Jaws is such a high bar.
Yeah.
It's the high watermark for.
Thank you, David.
Impressive. Very nice.
It's the high watermark for creature features. I don't know that can anything touch Jaws ever? Is it possible to make something that is as good and iconic as Jaws?
I mean, maybe Jaws the Revenge.
So no. Oh man.
No, I don't think so. With like an actual creature feature that features an actual animal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even if it doesn't, I don't think you can touch Jaws.
Just from the cultural implication and the effect that movie had on people of literally making people scared of the ocean for a generation.
Oh, starting like a worldwide genocide on sharks, actually putting them into a danger zone for extinction, putting certain species into like a bad place. That's as effective as you can be. Maybe Congo could compete. I don't know.
Man, my kids are stomping around like crazy up there.
Yeah, they're going nuts.
So the other thing that works, we've already talked about, the gator casualties. I think every attack is pretty great, other than the ones where it's just the
where they just kind of nibble,
where they go
Champa.
and then they just walk away.
Champa.
So here's I think this is probably all of them. So there's a couple that have a boat, and they spot the Haley and Dave, whatever his name is. Is it Dave?
I think so.
Dave spot him through the holes in the crawl space. They see him cross the street at a mini mart, and they're actively robbing it during the hurricane. And they try to get their attention, and the gators attack this couple pretty severely.
Yeah, it's not. And the weird thing about this movie, the thing that doesn't work for me so much, is that it's not just these two gators underneath the house. It's all the gators in the area are fucking livid.
Yeah.
They're bonkers. They're huge. They're all the biggest gator you've ever seen. And, I mean, it's just goofy.
Yeah.
But, that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah. The other one, so there's a cop that comes to save them. And so Haley comes across this cop at like this intersection. He's directing traffic and telling people to escape the hurricane or whatever.
This is at the very start.
Yeah, and there's a little backstory of him dating his sister. So you're like, oh, this is a family friend.
Sister.
Her sister, yeah.
Yeah, him dating his a very Florida man.
Yeah, her sister. And so we already know who he is. He's like a family friend, and he comes and he's like checking on him, and then he looks down at the murky basement, and then
Champa.
he gets eaten by the gator. It's in the trailer. It's not a surprise to anyone. But then his partner out on the boat gets drawn and quartered by gators. Like literally, it shows an overhead shot, and you see like 5 or 6 gators take an appendage each and just rip them apart like zombies.
You're listening to the reason why Bryce loves this movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Bryce saw this moment and was like, he was ecstatic. He was overjoyed. He was beside himself with, like, he's just, yay!
And then the moment where Dave's arm gets ripped off. That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty good. There's a lot of, like, really, like I said, really effective jump scares in this.
Yeah.
That are, it's kind of hard when there's so much action in a movie to have effective jump scares. If there's a lot of silence and a lot of tension, jump scares tend to land better. Mm-hmm. So in this movie, there's this constant, you're always knocking on the door of drowning. Mm-hmm. You're always knocking on the door of being right next to an alligator, so it's all kind of expected that something's gonna fucking go wrong. So the jump scares are harder to pull off, but it does it nonetheless. It's they're pretty impressive jump scares. So
would you say about this movie?
My skin's a tingling just thinking about this spooky tale.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I would say that.
Yeah, it's effective.
Bill Hader.
So what are the things that don't work?
Yeah. This thing where they're constant, like, it's annoying to me where they're constantly like in the most inopportune place in the house trying to get like rescue helicopters to see them. They're like in the basement, and they're like sticking their arm out of the crawl space with a flashlight, like and then the helicopter's like, what's that? It's like, oh, okay, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Other things that don't work for me, everything is, I don't know, it's all just expected, it's not, I don't know, it's, which in my last in our review of Underwater, I said doesn't make it a bad movie, it just makes it expected,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think some of the action around the gators, their movement, it jumps the shark sometimes. You're like, okay, all right. And
constantly banging on a pipe was pretty annoying. I'm never a fan of when they shine the flashlight in your face, but they didn't do that too much in this movie.
There's very much a thing where you'll be yelling at the screen to yell at them, to tell
get
them
out of there.
Make the right choice. So they get washed back into this house, and you're like, just walk up the fucking stairs.
Yeah, just go up.
Just go up the stairs.
Why weren't you on the roof like 20 minutes ago?
Yeah. Or, like,
how hard is it to get to the stairs of the basement? Apparently the most impossible task ever, because The vast majority of this movie is spent in the basement or in the crawl space.
Or just like, I don't know, take one of them heavy steel pipes and like bang it against the shitty concrete, the stuff that surrounds the foundation.
Yeah, the mortar.
Yeah, the mortar. Just like they can see through it.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like
it's an old house. It's clearly succumbed to a lot of water damage.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But I mean, there's not really a lot to hate about this movie.
No.
And that's a testament to how good it is.
Yeah.
Like, you can't... It's mostly like, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
Yeah. So, one thing...
To say it's like, oh, it's not realistic.
Bryce,
like, you're not getting the point.
Why were the two alligators down there? What were they doing down there?
Yeah, so... Okay, that is one thing. It has...
Just tell me.
She finds a nest with the gator eggs.
An alligator nest.
And then the question is like, well, wait a minute. Didn't they get in here because of the flood? So did they get in and immediately decide to lay eggs?
This is my house.
But the eggs are immediately hatching?
Right. So, no. You seem confused about this, and I'm going to tell you, no. The alligators have been down here for a while, protecting their eggs.
Okay.
And which brings up the biggest bothersome question to me is, you're living in this house with just full-grown 12-foot gators underneath it all the time? They're making sounds, they're laying eggs, they're having sex, they're living their life, their best life in your crawl space, and you're just one day you're like, I think we're gonna go down there and I don't know, wrench around.
Yeah, during a hurricane.
Yeah, I gotta do something.
Does it ever explain why he's down there in the first place?
We're not the best people to ask about that because we were kind of joking around during the whole explanation of that whole thing. So, I mean, probably. This movie is good enough that it probably does explain why he was down there and what he was doing. And there's probably a reasonable reason. But nevertheless, he's been living in this house long enough for gators to set up shop underneath him. Under his house, laying eggs and shit. Which is, I'm going to be that guy right now. That's not how alligator nests work. They need sunlight to incubate the eggs, idiot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to put a bunch of straw on the eggs, and then they put them at a certain level above floodwaters.
In episode 5 of Itchy and Scratchy, he hit the same rib twice, and it produced 2 distinctive notes. I mean, I hope someone got fired over this.
Let me ask you a question. What is a man with a shirt that says genius at work doing watching a little kids program?
I retract my question. So the other thing that I thought they got wrong was a missed opportunity. How great would the ending be if they get out of the crawl space, they're out in the open water, the levee breaks, they fall out of the boat, they're going to crawl to the roof, and what comes and gets them? A great white shark.
Damn.
That's going to be the sequel. Crawl and swim?
Yeah. It definitely, I mean, it would not have surprised me.
I know.
At all. I'd have been like, okay.
That would have been the perfect ending, was just something utterly ridiculous. The ending is pretty, I mean, it's fine, it's satisfying, but it's exactly what you would expect.
Why settle for a great white when you could have the Meg?
The Meg. It's already proven itself aggressive towards boats. Oh man, I did get that clip. I just didn't port it over. Oh well. So yeah, final recommendations on Crawl.
You go.
Yeah, I say see it. It will probably make its way to Netflix or to Amazon Prime for free. Like, I can't imagine that this wouldn't be... This feels like a cable favorite. Like, this would be playing on a loop.
Yes.
On some channel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is like, they've made it easy enough to edit for gore. It's a no-brainer for cable. Like, this is Twister, this is Jaws, this is...
Yeah, it's one of those movies that if you arrived in it in the middle, like, you're on board. You'll watch the rest of it.
Oh, man, this is Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
I've been just daydreaming about that movie for months now. Just been like, I gotta go back and watch Deep Blue Sea. I gotta see Samuel L. Jackson getting eaten by a shark. A very, very smart shark. Oh my god.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with you. I mean, if you're into creature features, this is a movie for you. If you are into heady psychological stuff, not for you. Don't. It's probably no.
All right, let's move on to taglines.
Here's tagline.
Taglines is a segment where we come up with alternate taglines for the movie that summarize it better than the existing tagline.
Yeah. I was given very little notice on this one.
Yeah. You said, you should tell me the day before.
You should.
I gave you a half an hour.
Oh, wow. So are you making the argument right now that a half an hour is better preparation time than 24 hours?
I mean, we've come up with taglines in 10 minutes.
I know.
For this before.
All because of this same reason, which is like, I just told you 10 minutes ago. You don't have the lines right now?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Does it take you 24 hours to come up with?
No, but I come up with better ones.
All right. Whatever.
I mean, it is whatever, but for someone who's like, we need to continually improve the show. Yeah.
All right. Point taken.
Okay.
Taglines. Okay.
Bryce, this is a joke for you about alligators. What's the similarity between an alligator and Microsoft Windows?
Oh God.
What's the similarity?
I don't know.
Neither of them has enough bytes.
Okay, next time we'll give you 24 hours. Crawl.
My skin's a-tingling just thinking about this spooky tale. Settle in.
I'm settled.
The other day, I coughed, but it sounded like a sneeze. So someone turned to me and said, "Bless you." Then I turned to them, and I said...
Let me guess. You said, "You too."
No. I said, "Oil me up, Daddy. It's dinner time, and I'm a little soup boy, chompa chompa."
And I'm a little soup boy, chompa chompa.
Oil me up, Daddy. It's dinner time, and I'm a little soup boy, chompa chompa.
Why? I just don't understand why he said that.
You gotta see the whole setup, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But that's a meme on TikTok, by the way.
Is it?
That's a common
chompa chompa.
Oil me up, Daddy. It's dinner time, and I'm a little soup boy, chompa chompa.
It's dinner time. Okay, here's my next one. How many arms has an alligator got, Bryce?
4?
It depends how far he's got with eating his dinner.
Oh, boy. You asshole. Crawl. Florida Man, the movie.
Florida Man, the movie. It is. It's strange how much... What's his name?
Barry Pepper.
Barry Pepper is a Florida man. Like, he's just kind of gaunt. He's got that kind of faraway look in his eyes, like he saw too much in childhood.
He's got alligators in his basement.
He qualifies. Mm-hmm. Here's one that's very pertinent. This is going to land, so
okay.
Don't worry.
All right.
Why don't alligators like fast food?
Because they can't catch it.
Wow! Good job. Way to go, Bryce.
All right. Crawl.
Swim! Yeah, let's see here.
I got one more to finish it up.
Oh, here we go. Who gives alligators presents on Christmas?
Gator claws.
So close. Santa Jaws.
Santa Jaws. So it doesn't make sense because claws is also a... thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not what I wrote down.
All right. Final tagline. Crawl. Space.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right.
Bravo.
See, I came up with those in 10 minutes. That ain't bad, right?
You did great. You did great.
All right. Taglines, like, the concept falls apart. I think that's kind of like the running joke. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a certain amount of cringe. There's a certain amount of, all the
the
things.
less and less we care about the actual concept of coming up with actual taglines.
Right. Although I do appreciate coming up with the actual ones.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to It Came from Social Media.
Yes, it came
From social media.
to fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought?
From social media.
And what did they want on Earth?
Came from Social Media is a bit where we read about comments from our listeners and reviews.
Yeah, if you guys reach out to us on social media, there is a really, really good chance that we will talk about it because we appreciate you, and this show is something that gives us both more reasons to live.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this segment since almost the very beginning.
Yeah,
and there's many weeks where we didn't hear a peep from anyone, and it was usually us just talking about what our friends said.
I think about Dana all the time.
Yeah.
Every time I burp, I'm like, Dana.
Dana, I burp in your name.
Yeah, it's I got to tell you, Dana, if you're still out there, you haven't reached out to us in a while, let us know. I'd like to talk to you.
Yeah. So again, Tanya is a new patron, and she said a lot of really nice things in our initial message. I just wanted to read the whole thing because it warms the cockles of my heart. She says, "Thanks for the warm welcome. You are my very first Patreon membership, and I am excited to get to know you two more by tuning into your afterpods. I found your podcast randomly after watching The Curse of La Llorona last spring. I left the theater with an immediate need to find people who could break down what the actual fuck I had just watched. I'd never listened to a podcast before that day, but after listening to yours and a couple of others, I was hooked on them. I now listen to most of the horror movie podcasts on Apple Podcasts, but I like yours the best." That is amazing to me. First of all, there's a lot more that I'll read, but we're her introduction to podcasting.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You're the best." So
well, I can tell you why.
well, we're glad that you got to us first, and trust us, it doesn't get better than this.
It does.
This
not.
is the best. So
this
don't
best
look elsewhere.
You better stay here and never leave.
Uh-huh. You guys are honest with your feelings. Honest with your ratings, funny, and don't take horror too seriously. There's nothing worse than a podcast of horror movie lovers where the hosts hate every movie they watch and nitpick every single thing. Trust us, we've gotten criticism that we do that as well.
Yeah,
from some people.
Well, I feel like I hit everything anyways.
Yeah. Yes, La Llorona is certainly worthy of a good roasting, but Paranormal Activity, Saw, and The Conjuring get way too much shade thrown at them despite being reasonably good films.
Yeah.
98% of the movies I watch are horror movies, and my husband hates them, so it's nice to be able to find people who enjoy the genre. I enjoy found footage and sci-fi horror, especially those filmed in remote or wooded areas. I'd love more quality alien invasion / abduction movies.
You and me both.
Not the ones set in space or on spacecraft movies. Man. So the one that jumped to mind, she lists a bunch of movies after that, but the one that jumped to mind when she said that, she did list, which is Fire in the Sky. If you've never seen Fire in the Sky, it is,
dude,
like the best alien abduction movie ever. It's like stays with me to this day. I saw it when it came out.
There's
in
another
theaters.
one with an owl. I can't remember what it's called. But this list, like, this is Tanya, right?
Uh-huh.
Tanya's taste and my taste are so similar. There's a few exceptions here, but not many. Like, okay, I'm going to go down this list. Can I read this list?
Yeah, go for it.
She says, so I'm going to put a check mark next to the ones that are just top tier for me. Hell House LLC, Insidious, Alien, check. The Visit. If you guys have not seen The Visit, you've probably not heard about it. This is a M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie from like 2014 or 15, and it's about Sundowner Syndrome, which if you don't know what that is, look up Sundowner Syndrome in Google right now. It's fucking weird. It's a real thing that really happens to old people, and you need to watch this movie. Fire in the Sky, check. Texas Chainsaw, check. Blair Witch Project, check. Paranormal Activity, check. The Fourth Kind, check. The Taking of Deborah Logan, another big one that nobody talks about very much. It's not very well known, but it is disturbing. And again, about old people and kind of dementia. Both of those are The Visit and The Taking of Deborah Logan are high on my list of unknowns. And then Prometheus, she says, I know, in quotation mark, in parentheses, I also love Prometheus, and I also know. And 3/4 of the movies. Sinister. Yeah.
And then she says the scariest but least favorite movie is The Babadook. Only because I went in thinking I knew what it was about and then proceeded to cry myself to sleep for 2 weeks straight after realizing it hit a little too close to home for myself as a depressed new mother. That is like...
And now she checks Bryce's boxes.
I watched The Babadook, and it's a fantastic film. Dave... Spaghetti. Like, you don't like it as much, but... It's a fantastic movie to me, mostly because I was like empathizing with any new mother or like mother that was that would watch this movie. It plays on so many fears about, is my kid normal?
Is he okay?
Is something happening?
Yeah.
And anyways, she finishes it up, says, anyways, sorry for the giant blog post reply. I teach kindergarten. I have 2 kids. I struggle with anxiety, and I'm so thankful to you for giving me something to look forward to during my lunch break, my planning time, my commute, and my falling asleep time each day. Per sleep meow. That is so awesome.
Touching.
Like, I don't know what to say. Like, it feels like more of a responsibility now.
Yeah.
To be a podcaster. Like, oh, people are actually like affected by what we say, but more importantly, people enjoy the podcast, which still blows my mind to this day.
Yeah,
my need to engage in homicidal behavior on a massive scale cannot be corrected, but I have no other way to fulfill my needs.
I have no other way to fill my needs other than this podcast.
Yeah. Okay, Ben Warrington on Twitter, he mentioned us. He says, I don't recommend too much, but by God, you have to listen to Horror Movie Talk. These guys are incredible. And we've been in discussions with Ben Warrington. He's out of the UK, and he's been on podcasts before. He's had a couple podcasts of his own, and we might involve him on a couple segments going forward.
Yeah. Thanks for reaching out to us, Ben. We appreciate it.
Tara Westwood, we mentioned her last week because she mentioned our podcast. I don't know if you know who Tara Westwood is, but she is one of the actresses in The Grudge.
Right.
And she said, last week you got what we were doing in The Grudge. I replied, thanks, Tara. You rocked it as well as did the rest of the cast. If you are the real Tara Westwood, can't be too sure without the verified icon. We'd love to have you on the show. And I didn't realize until I was preparing the episode today that she replied to us.
Holy shit-a-moly.
She said, thank you. It's really me, and that would be fun. So, who knows? Maybe we'll have Tara Westwood on the podcast. One of our, I guess that would be like the second interview we've ever had.
Yeah, well, no, we've had quite a few. I mean, not quite a few.
We've had guests.
Yeah,
but not, I think we've only had one interview.
That's true.
In Search of Darkness guy.
Yeah.
And she also retweeted our Grudge post, so that's pretty awesome. Another patron, Don B., he asked, so how did you guys first meet, and how long have you known each other? I've covered this before, but for new listeners, maybe we should just say, like, how we met. You're looking at your phone.
Yeah, so I went to apply for a job, a writing job at a marketing agency, and Bryce was already working there, and he was in the interview where
it was a panel interview.
Yeah, only in Portland. It's the fucking most hipstery place on the face of planet. So everything has to be.
It's a special hell now in the job market. Like, you got to have the screener phone interview where they probably won't get back to you if they don't.
The pre-interview interview, then the pre-interview, then the interview, then the panel interview, and then it's like, okay.
Literally, like, the sequence that I see very common now is the phone screener interview, the 30-minute interview with an actual hiring manager, then the in-person interview with the hiring manager, and then the group interview.
And I get it. The internet makes it a lot harder to, to filter out the bozos from the normies. But yeah, I mean, there's a point at which, at what point do I get to invoice you for all these fucking interviews? So anyway, Bryce was already there. He was in the panel interview, and toward the end of the interview, he learned that I lived in a similar place as him, and immediately he said, "You're going to be carpooling with me if you get this job." And it was almost an order, to which I don't take well. And I went home that night and I was like, there's this fucking guy and he wants me to like carpool with him, and it's just so presumptuous and then
I don't remember it as an order, but I was definitely very excited about the prospect and insistent.
Yes. Yeah. You were very persistent. For someone who I had never met, it was the most persistence I'd ever seen. Uh-huh. It was like, this is what's happening now.
I was so excited to use you for your body.
Right. And
because northbound, going back to Vancouver from Portland,
it's a hellish ride both ways.
And then you just have the sweet carpool lane where you just see people speeding by.
I do that every time,
and then
with nobody in there.
Yeah, well,
but it certainly does. It's a nice peace of mind to have somebody in there.
As a law-abiding citizen, I didn't partake in the carpool lane without another person.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Anyway, so we started carpooling, and immediately we realized that we were kindred spirits, kind of like we just had very similar feelings and experiences, and it just
not that we didn't have our rough patches.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah. I think we're
actually very different.
Yeah,
types of people, but like have a lot of overlap about taste and like what we like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't presume to say that we're very similar. It's just I think we have an appreciation for what each other brings to the table.
Right. So that was what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, that was at the end of 2015. Okay. So about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, Colby K on Facebook wrote us. He said, "Hey, just wanted to reach out and say you guys are great. Was looking for a good review of The Grudge, and that's how I discovered you guys last week. Started going back and listening to your old episodes, and just finished the Underwater review this morning. Keep it up."
Hey, thanks, Colby.
Thanks, Colby.
Yeah, if you hear this episode and you hear us, I know we've said this multiple times now, but if you reach out to us, we will talk to you. Too much.
Here are some new reviews from Apple Podcasts. We've asked so many times for people to leave us ratings. Here's one from Magdus. I think it might actually be Magnus. I'm not sure. But
what?
I think it actually might be Magnus that left this review.
Oh, Magdus.
But I'm not sure. Because it's from Sweden. And it was left yesterday. No, 2 days ago.
Like heroin, but only the good part.
Yeah, like heroin, but only the good part is the title. And heroin is spelled like the female version of hero, but I'm not going to, thank you for the
review. It's probably a second language.
Pablo Picasso, or Picasso Hoodie. Hoodie Picasso.
Picasso Hoodie.
Yeah. It took me a few episodes to realize that they were not sponsored by all these obscure and impossible companies they list. I then realized that their humor is not accidental like they claim. It is natural. Can't recommend this podcast enough. It's fun, it's stupid, it's weird, it's addictive, it's horror. with that said, please fix the lowercase L in the podcast profile picture. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the font that we used for the logo, and the lowercase L.
Talk.
That is the capital version of it for some reason.
The font's all fucked up.
Yeah. If we have any designers that want to design us a custom font.
No, just put a Times New Roman uppercase L in.
There we go.
That would be, oh my God, that would be great. We need to actually do that now.
He says, it's been driving me nuts for almost a year now. Now to Swedish, and then I think he just writes the same thing in Swedish.
Det tog mig nagra.
Yeah. Why don't you read the Swedish?
Isni at podcasten inte, I know what that word is, inte sponsorades av alla dessa konstiga och gilla. Okay.
Gilla.
Okay.
Företag som det skämtar i Björgen.
Wow.
Jag insagde att deras inte är accident som garnen vill pasta den är naturlig.
Wow, you're really fucking good at this.
Vanvärligen rekommendera den podcast om man gillar skräckfilm.
Jesus.
Men lite onygdigt.
Okay, this is getting painful.
Okay, anyways, it goes on.
Wow, you're really good at that. How did you just channel the fucking Swedish chef there?
I don't know. We'll see. Magnus, let us know how close I got.
Yeah, for real. I'm super interested. Did he slaughter it, or was I?
I'm sure I slaughtered it.
Jag insag dat at deras humor inte a accidental som de garna vil pasta.
Bobby. So another review titled "What a Podcast." Funny but serious, informal but knowledgeable, entertaining and memorable. This podcast has the correct blend of everything you need to create a classy cocktail of horror talk by Ben Warrington.
A classy cocktail. That's so sexual sounding that I'm a little aroused right now.
Yeah, so that was from Ben. We mentioned him. He also left a message on Twitter.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Another review titled...
He snuck a heart in there, too.
Yeah, he did. Another review titled, the French. It says, these guys are great. The graphic descriptions of their farts and the constant burping always keep me coming back. Comment by Cactus.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. And then a correction of a review. Last week, we read the Hoodie Picasso review. This week, he deleted that one and fixed it. He says, after trying out all the horror podcasts I could handle, this one is my... All the horror podcasts I could handle, this one is my favorite, funny and insightful. And it used to read, after trying out all of the Hoodie Picasso I could handle, this one is my favorite, funny and insightful. So he actually commented... his name's John. He commented on our Facebook. He said, "My dog ate my good glasses, and autocorrect is ruining my life." Hoodie Picasso. So thanks, John. And then a bunch of
you should take your dog to the vet.
A bunch of comments on our website for different episodes by Daywalker. We'll read just a couple of these. For the Ritual review, great review, guys. This was a good Netflix movie. Love it when horror meets mythology, especially the Norse creatures. We need more of these types.
Yeah, I responded to him on that one. I recommended you should check out Troll Hunter from, I think it was like 2010, maybe around that time. And Troll Hunter, and I have not seen Troll Hunter 2, but Troll Hunter is a creature feature or monster movie that is really fun and interesting, and I liked it a lot. A lot of people think it's dumb, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
He leaves another comment on the Ready or Not review. What a fun movie. I listened to this episode first and passed on it when it was in the theater. thought it was just another slasher, but once I found out it had some supernatural elements, I changed my mind. Really wish I'd seen it in the theater. Samara Weaving is just awesome as the new Scream Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
dead on.
I think, like, as I look back on last year, like, I'm leaning towards that as the best movie of the year. Like, Midsommar is great, but, like, I can't, like, I know that I'll watch Ready or Not again.
To my taste, I think Midsommar trumped it. But undoubtedly, like, it has so many elements that work in it. It felt kind of like a Sam Raimi movie a little bit.
Yeah.
It felt kind of goofy and fun and aware of itself. And then the supernatural elements are totally unexpected and very, very well done.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's other comments. I'm sure we missed some stuff that came across the board last week. If we missed you, sorry. But don't be afraid to reach out and let us know what you think. You know, we read all these. I mean, it feels like kind of egotistical to read the good reviews, but I don't think we've gotten a bad review in a while.
Yeah,
well, we got like a bad comment on a blog post a while back saying that we're divisive and anti-Trumpers or something.
Divisive. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not exactly. It was unclear due to grammar who was at blame. But
that's what's wrong with the move industry. So yeah, you know, let us know what you think. We're constantly trying to get better, so criticisms are welcomed also. So that's the show. Thank you for listening. Please be like these people and talk to us on social media, and especially like the people that left a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps out. Share the podcast with a friend. We only grow organically. We only grow if people stumble upon us or people recommend us. So
yeah, if you share one of our episode posts on a Wednesday, if you share that with your social network, it extends our range so much, and we love you for it. So thank you for doing that.
If you're going to buy anything on Amazon in the coming weeks, go to our website, horrormovietalk.com, and click through the button in the banner to Amazon, because then we'll get a little commission from that, and it helps out. Also, if you're a fan of the show and want access to bonus content, check out our Patreon. That's also linked on our website. Shudder.com. Use code HMT at checkout to get a 30-day free trial. Special thanks to all the people that left us comments and nice reviews this last week. I hope if we didn't get to you, you're not too offended. But especially thank you to new patrons Magnus and Tanya. We really are blown away by the support
and generosity, man.
Generosity.
It's huge. Thank you guys so much, and we love you. And you guys have a great week.
And, follow us on social media and all that good stuff. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes?
Mrs. Arlsberg?
Who?
Mrs. Baldwin?
Who is it?
Flowers.
Flowers for whom?
Plumber, ma'am.
I don't need a plumber. You're that clever shark, aren't you?
Candy Graham.
Candy Graham my foot. You get out of here before I call the police. You're the shark and you know it.
Wait, I'm only a dolphin, ma'am.
A dolphin? Well, okay.
Champa Champa.